We take our prayer, please. Master of all worlds, highest power, merciful parent of compassion, as in your presence, eternal one, source of strength for us, as you have been for our ancestors, we very humbly acknowledge you. What are we? What is our life that you have done such great kindness to us? Therefore, we place our appeals before you, so that you may forgive and absolve us of all our faults and failings. That our faults never become barriers between us and you. And may it be your desire to prepare our hearts to feel all our love for you. You listen to these words of ours. You open our young hearts to the mysteries of your Torah. May this our space be a source of pleasure before your throne of glory, like sweet incense. May you shower down upon us light of our source and all the ways by which we define ourselves. May the spark of your holy servants, whom you have revealed these words to the world shine and sparkle. May their merit, their ancestors' merit, and the merit of their Torah, their innocence, and their holiness stand for us, so as to prevent us from stumbling when we study these words. In their merit, may our eyes be illumined by what we study, as in the saying of the sweet singer of Israel, "Open my eyes, that I may gaze into wonders of your Torah." May the words of my mouth and the thoughts of my heart be acceptable to you, my rock and my redeemer. For it is the Eternal who grants wisdom. It's from his mouth that knowledge and understanding issue forth. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na na na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na na na. Na 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 na. Na na na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. 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 Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Na na na. Na 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 na. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 no. On page 305, the bottom of the page, we've talked about the self, the neshama, that pure neshama, which is accompanied by the two impulses, the evil impulse and the good impulse, but they don't define who we are. We are who we are. And that mystery of choice, that mystery of being ourselves, is then played out with how we decide to live our lives and what actions to take and what actions not to take. So now we're at come and see, the last two lines on page 305. Coming back to talking about Jacob and Esau and Yitzchak, etc., etc. So who would like to please read for us this? Okay, Beryl, I didn't even, how do you know what I was going to say? All right.
Very novel. You don't normally say it.
Go ahead.
There I went.
Thank you.
I lost my page. Come and see. Since Jacob trusted in the Blessed Holy One in all his ways, or for his sake, he caused his enemies to be at peace with him. Samael, power and strength of Esau, who made peace with Jacob. Since he made peace with him and confirmed his blessings, Esau made peace with him, and until Jacob was at peace with that official appointed over him. Esau did not make peace with him, so everywhere power below depends on power above.
So the this is the verse that started at the beginning of this Rabbi Shimon. When a man's ways please the Eternal, then God even his causes even his enemies to be at peace. So since Jacob pleased God by doing everything for God's sake, God caused that Jacob's enemies would make peace with him. So now the Zohar says this is the wrestling match. We're back with the wrestling match. And in the wrestling match, he is wrestling, according to this interpretation, with Saro Shel Esav, with Esav's official, Esav's celestial prince, the power above that gives Esav the power, his power below. So when Jacob is able to wrestle the evil angel of Esav and make him surrender and make peace with him, that then, which is in reward for Jacob being such a loyal, faithful servant of God, then that makes it possible for Esav, the human Esav, to make peace with his brother. So that drama, that wrestling match has to take place first, and that's the story we have in the Torah. The evening of the wrestling match till the crack of dawn happens right before the morning when Esav shows up with all of his men, and then Esav is ready to make peace with his brother. So the Zohar says this is actually the product of the wrestling match that happened before, which was the reward that Jacob received. God is on his side, so to speak, and Jacob subdues the powers above in order that the powers below would also fall into line. All right. This is just to say a simple word. This is a little bit in contrast with, or contrast with what we were saying just a second ago, right? The paragraph right before celebrates pure free will, that we can choose either to go, the right way or the wrong way. And we have augmented resources, the Yetzer HaTov and the Yetzer Hara, but they really depend on us making the decision. And now the Zohar goes in the other direction and says, Esav, you know why Esav chose to be so nice to Jacob? Because he had really, in a certain sense, no choice, or very little choice. His power to overcome Jacob was nullified, was neutralized before that by Jacob's wrestling match, by Jacob's own righteousness, and therefore he was ready to make peace with Jacob. Okay, I'm not going to say anything to smooth that out. I'm just calling it out a little bit. We continue, unless somebody has something to say. Okay, Beryl.
Isaac trembled very violently and said, "A foe."
Who a foe?
Who a foe?
In the Hebrew, it's me a foe. Me means who. So, me a foe. Right? Who was the one that came before and got the blessing? When Esav comes in and he realizes that now Esav is first showing up, then Jacob has this, Isaac has this trembling fit. He realizes what has happened. That's the simple meaning of what happened. So he says, and who was it therefore that, who then was the one that got the blessing before? Who came in before when I thought it was you? Okay, so that's me a foe. Okay, so go ahead. What is the meaning?
What is the meaning of who a foe? The verse should read, who, whozeh.
Right, mi huzeh. We have that other place. We have it, for instance, in the Megillah. Mi huzeh ve'ezehu. Who is that person who came in before, who did the following thing? So that could have been a simple phrase to be used. Why this special word, a foe? Okay.
Who hazeh was this? But really, who a foe? For Shekinah stood there and Isaac blessed Jacob. So he said, who a foe? Who was standing there confirming those blessings I bestowed upon him? Surely now blessed he will remain. The same source for the blessed Holy One approved those blessings.
Right. So if you read the note, look at the note 347.
Who a foe, the verse reads. Who was it, a foe, then that...
Who was it then? The word a foe really means then. Right? So who was it then that came before, right?
Who was it then that hunted game and brought it to me, and I ate of it all before you came, and I blessed him? Now blessed he will remain. Rabbi Shimon replaces the particle a foe, then, with its homonym.
A foe.
Oh, where?
Okay, so they're spelled differently. In Hebrew, it's spelled differently, and they sound the same. But a foe with an aleph at the end is then, right? But a foe with a hey is where. So the Zohar takes the sound and then rereads the verse according to changing the verse. And the Zohar didn't make this up. It's also in the Midrash. The reading is not who then did all of that stuff before you came in, but rather Who Eifo? Who was there? And it's not actually even so much of a question. It's more of a statement. And who was there? Who is the Shekhinah? The Shekhinah was standing there. That was who, mi hayab po. Who was here? Po is here. Remember, this is still Hanukkah, last night of Hanukkah, right? In Montclair, we say Nes Gadol Hayasham. A great miracle was there. In Israel, they say Nes Gadol Haya Po. And great miracle was here. So Eifo is really read as being here. Okay, look at 349 for a second.
Who Eifo? Literally, who, where? Rabbi Shimon apparently understands the phrase as meaning, where is the one who was here? Or, who was here? Interpreting Eifo as Hayapo
Was here.
was here.
Right. Okay, so that's it. And I would even say it's not even so much of a question, but rather who was there. So this is the response that Isaac gives back to his son Esav. And we had before, what was the trembling all about? He was trembling not because he realized his mistake. He was trembling because now he felt the presence of hell. Right? When Jacob came in, he felt the fragrance of Gan Eden. And now when Esav comes in, he feels the presence of Gehenna, of hell. So this is the way that the Zohar tries to take away some of the problematics of was Isaac really being fooled or not. Before we get to the next piece, I want to just read something which I find very, I don't know, what can I tell you, very intriguing. So the word Eifo is being used here in this other kind of way of looking at it. And it's therefore a claim that someone else was present with Jacob, and that's why Jacob's blessing is appropriate. Someone else, meaning the divine presence. So here is what I think this is Rabbi Chaim Vital, I think, who says the following. Im hayunu rotzim lahamtika inyan, if we want to make the matter a little sweeter, right? Ki hashchina nikreit efa, that the word epho is also the word efa. Efa is a measure, the measure, a dry measure, right? Kemoshe katuv efa tzedek, says in Kedoshim that you should have just measures. So it says hin tzedek ve'efa tzedek yulach, that you should always have clean, proper, righteous measures. So the word tzedek is understood to refer to Shekhinah. So according to this thing, the word efa, mi efa or mi efo, since we're already changing the spelling, we can change the pronunciation. So actually the word efa, the measurement, which of course Shekhinah is the one that measures out God's influence into the world, God's energy, God's presence. She's the measurer, the dispenser of this. So she's called Eifat Tzedek. So so Reb Chaim Vital says, if we wanted to add a little extra sweetness to this whole pshat, this whole story that the Zohar is giving, we could point out this idea, the identification of Shekhinah with Eifah. Says, Aval ain't tzorach lazeh, but there's no need for this. That's the end of his comment. So it's very cool to me. Like, instead of just like he says it, but he also brushes it aside completely, right? He says, I could actually say some more sweet things here. Here's this sweet thing that I could add to make this Torah even a little better. But you know what? It's sweet enough as it is. It doesn't need this extra sweetening. Ain't tzarech lazeh. There's no need for it. when I read it, I said, this is intriguing. Since when do you not want to make it even more sweet and more sweet and more sweet? But he has a certain sense of restraint and says, you know what? Not everything that you could say necessarily has to be said. And even though it could be a little nice little extra little vort, another little word here, but does it really add? Does it really make the Torah more meaningful? Does it really add more truth? So he doesn't not say it. He writes it down. So he could have said it to himself internally. You know what? I could write this little extra little comment, but what the heck? I'm not going to write it. Instead, he says, I'll write it, but I'll write that there's really no reason to say it. So, it goes back and forth. I don't know. I find it interesting. I don't have anything conclusive to draw from that, but not a usual kind of comment.
Is it just modesty?
Well, but again, it's a modesty that if he was really modest, he wouldn't write it. If he thinks there's no need for it, then don't write it down. But why not? Why, if you can think it up, say it. Add a little extra Torah. Why not? Yeah, Larry.
Well, one thing I find interesting about this is that the Zohar seems to see the drama or the chess game being played out by human beings as really being played out by what I would call spiritual or supernal beings. And that's pretty interesting, both Samael and Shechina, and that if we walked around in life, if I walked around in life and saw that, what would that be like? In other words, what if I just walked around and when I was seeing things happening in my work, in my life, whatever, and saw it as like, well, it's a power above directing what's going on below. I mean, one thing is it might lead you, I think you were sort of hinting at, that it might lead you to feeling that we were just marionettes rather than, creatures of our own will. But that's one aspect. But another aspect is it sort of adds a very dramatic dimension to ordinary life.
Yeah. If you'll excuse me, I'll just leave. I know I want to go pick a book from the bookshelf, hopefully to bring something to bear on this particular point.
I think that there are people who do go through life experiencing the possibility that they are being watched and ushered along and so forth. They do experience godliness. I think there are people like that.
Yes, I want to share if I can find it here. This is from a book of prayers. It's called Lord of Peace, Adon HaShalom. And it's an interfaith book of prayers that a good friend of mine in Israel, Rabbi Roberto Arbib, produced a few years ago. And it has Muslim, Christian, and Jewish prayers put together in an anthology, and in Hebrew, Arabic, and English. So I came across this prayer recently. Called Prayer at the Beginning of the Day from Metropolitan Filaret of Moscow. Okay, so this is a Russian Orthodox priest. O Lord, grant me to greet the coming day in peace. Help me in all things to rely upon your holy will. In every hour of the day, reveal your will to me. Bless my dealings with all around me. Teach me to treat all that comes to me throughout the day with peace of soul and with firm conviction that your will governs all. In all my deeds and words, guide my thoughts and feelings. In unforeseen events, let me not forget that all are sent by you. Teach me to act firmly and wisely without embittering and embarrassing others. Give me the strength to bear the fatigue of the coming day with all that it shall bring. Direct my will, teach me to pray, and pray you yourself in me. So I think that has some of the elements of what you were talking about, seeking to have that kind of a consciousness, which again walks this very paradoxical line of being a self that also seeks to be taken over by not only a perspective or perception of the world, but also by God, by God's own presence. So, in that sense, giving oneself over to that way of looking at the world and that way of acting in the world, right? To be just a vehicle for God. Yeah. So I closed the book already. He says at one point that in that prayer, and let me do your will without angering or embarrassing anybody else. He says some kind of phrase like that. Mark has a chat comment. Hold on a second. I gotta see it. That might work when things are going well. But what about the enormous and mindless tragedy? I think that people with that kind of, for better, let's just use it as a simple way, that kind of mystical approach have known enormous and mindless tragedy very well. They haven't been strangers. They're not Pollyannas. And nevertheless, they walk through the valley of the shadow of death with a sense that God is with them and that God's presence, they hope, is operating through them. Now, again, if you're going to ask me, so did they see God operating in that kind of horror? Is God doing that? This is the the question that we keep banging our heads against, and we don't necessarily put that question away, but
actually,
it doesn't stop many believers from continuing. Yeah.
But also, the answer to that, one answer to that question is to see Samael in it. In other words, that what Mark says is, the enormous and mindless tragedy, which you see is that when Yitzchak sees that, he trembles because he feels hell walking in. He actually feels hell walking on the scene. And that's heavy too. That's not, he's not Pollyannish. It's not just that the Shekhinah is walking in with Yaakov, but that hell walked in with Esav. Right. So, it's a different way of viewing the world than, the way I personally generally go through. Sometimes I feel this, not a lot, sometimes.
This is the classic question. Now I see that he's writing more. So the earlier idea that when evil prevails, all are susceptible to tragedy, but that doesn't work if supernal is in control. Yes, the question is in the end, how much control is God? Is God simply decreeing everything, determining everything, controlling everything, or not? And then when do you pick and choose, right? When somebody survives a terrible tragedy, we go, oh, thank God. I'm okay. So do you say thank God for the person that's not okay? If God gets credit for the good stuff, then what's the way that we understand God's responsibility for the bad stuff? So this is the standard question. We haven't gotten around it, and we haven't figured out a better way to ask it. That is the eternal question, for sure.
But Rabbi, when we pray the morning prayer, a number of the prayers say that, when you're in the grave, when I'm in the grave, I can't thank you, right? Number of places. So the point is that gratitude is fine for people who survive. But in order to deal with that, you can't believe in that kind of micromanagement. That this idea that, God is in the room with us only works when the plane lands. When the plane crashes, then there was nobody in the room with us.
So until the plane crashes, you could still argue that God is in the room with us. If there are many people, as I said, many people throughout history, throughout the world, all over the globe, that have lived miserable lives, have lived lives of pain and suffering, and nevertheless felt that as they were suffering and as they were dying, that God was with them. That it's not afterwards that you say thank you. You're saying thank you for the very breath that's being taken out of you at this moment. This is, I'm just reporting. I'm reporting what people are doing. I'm not defending, and I'm not saying, therefore we should all just, take our lesson from that. But that is a way of seeing what to do about the world. When the psalmist says that, and when we base other things, what the psalmist is also saying is, as long as I'm alive, that in and of itself is something for me to be grateful for. Even if as I'm alive, I'm being tortured.
So the classic Yom Kippur story of the guy who says that no matter how much you torture me, I won't stop believing in you, right?
Right.
It's right there in the Montclair, right?
It's not in the Montclair, but yeah.
It's one of the stories in the Montclair.
Maybe in Leib Shalem it's in there, but it's not in the traditional Montclair. Yeah.
Okay, no, I'm talking about Leib Shalem.
I mean, I share it every Yom Kippur also, but it's a classic story. Yes.
But again, that the Zohar is trying to do something else. The Zohar is really trying to put the fix in, and it really doesn't work.
So I don't know that that's true. I don't know that that's true. I don't know that that's a fair characterization of what the Zohar is doing. If we're going to read another line, we'll see another little zigzag that the Zohar takes. And we've done this many times. So I think, even though none of us can speak about the Zohar in its entirety, everybody in this group has had enough experiencing reading the Zohar, bringing up complicated and even antagonistic concepts and views. And I don't think that that's the Zohar is not. There are other works. There are other works in Jewish tradition and other traditions that have a kind of a catechismic kind of approach. Here's the truth. Here are the propositions that you have to accept. Here is the way everything is explained. And if you don't get it, that's your problem. I don't think that the Zohar actually does that.
I meant the Zohar right now.
I don't think the Zohar is doing it right now either. But as I said, read one more line. So let's read one more line. So that's what I was introducing it with, that prayer from that priest who says, let me do this, let me do, God, your will, and let me be a servant of your will, and so on, without causing humiliation or pain and suffering to other people. Right? Okay. Rabbi Yehuda.
Rabbi Yehuda said, For having terrified his father Isaac with trembling, Jacob was inflicted with the punishment of Joseph, trembling similarly when they told him, "This we have found." Isaac said, "What a foe!
Who a foe?
Who a foe?" With a foe Jacob was punished, as is written, a foe. Where are they pasturing? There Joseph disappeared and Jacob was punished. Even though the Blessed Holy One approved those blessings, he was punished with a foe. A foe, where are they pasturing? There he disappeared from him, and he was punished so severely.
Okay, so this is the idea that the real Jacob, with all the acceptance of the fact that this is all again a drama that applies to supernal forces and so on, the real Jacob caused his father to be shocked and to tremble greatly. So Rabbi Yehuda is saying, okay, you know what, let's get back down to reality. Let's get back down to the real story, to the human story, without all of the supernal apologetics. And he says, in the end, that causing of his father to feel that trembling was no good. And he had to pay the price for it. So I think that we have here a very, very more complicated picture. This is taking everything that we've said and saying that's all well and good. It all makes Jacob, the great hero, and he's God's favorite, and God loves him, and God has subdued all his enemies, and God has certified his blessing over and over and over again. And now Rabbi Yehuda says, and guess what? It's the same God who ends up turning the rest of Jacob's life into hell. When Jacob has this son that he loves to pieces, that son is the vehicle of his own suffering, and that son will make Jacob feel the anguish and the trembling that he made his own father feel. So the trembling is the same. The correspondence is not an exact correspondence, but the trembling is the correspondence. And the apho, the textual correspondence, with a little playing on the part of the Zohar to change the apho from one thing to another, one word to another, from then to where, it brings us to that heartbreaking moment of one way to read it. We had it last week, is Joseph is sent at his father's bidding to go and see how his brothers are doing. And he gets lost. And then he meets a mysterious stranger. And he says to this mysterious stranger, the mysterious stranger says, what's the matter? You look like you're lost. You look like you don't know where you're going. And he says, I'm seeking my brothers. Right? And I don't know where they are. Where are they? Where are they pasturing their flocks? And of course, that leads him to meet his brothers, who then practically kill him. So the Zohar puts it here not as a coincidence, and not as a mistake, and not as, oh, those brothers are so disgusting. They're the wicked ones. Joseph is the righteous one. They say this is payback to Jacob. Payback to Jacob for misleading his father, for causing his father, for all the good reasons, for everything that we had here. All the explanations are absolutely correct, and this is totally what had to be done. Nevertheless, in real time, in real life, Isaac is shaken to the core, and that's not what a son should do to their father. Simple. No sophistication here. That's not the way you treat your father. Jacob fails to minister to his father gently, respectfully, and successfully get his father to do what his father was supposed to do. And that's that prayer that the Metropolitan, I love that name, was saying, can I do your will without messing with people? Even if it's your will, can I do it without messing with people? And that in itself is already part of the suffering and pain and what's wrong with the world. Jacob, you're responsible for that, and you will pay for it. I don't think that's simplistic, and I don't think that the Zohar feels that it satisfactorily smoothed everything out. By the way, of course, the Zohar is not alone in this. The Zohar builds on midrashim that have said this, and we're gonna get in the next couple of small paragraphs. We're gonna get this pushed even further. People want to say anything at this point? All right. So Isaac
trembled, Haradat Gedolah, violently.
It means a great trembling, a big trembling. The word gadol, like nes gadol hayasham, a great miracle happened. So the word gedolah in feminine, a big, big trembling.
Why Gedolah? Here written Gedolah, and there is written, let me not see this Hagadolah, great fire anymore, so I will not die, for hell entered with him.
Okay, so the Zohar now says there's a parallelism. There are two kinds of Gedolah. There's the greatness of God's presence, and there's the greatness of evil. Each is terrifying. The words that are quoted from Deuteronomy are the Jewish people saying, we can't take Mount Sinai's theophany directly. We can't take it. The fire is too intimidating, is too terrifying. So that's what they're responding to. And over here, Isaac's trembling is from the other Gedolah, the other big force, right? The big force of evil. Larry has a thing here. Could you put a copy of the Metropolitan's prayer in the chat sometime? Okay, I will try to remember to do that. Okay, good. If not right now, afterwards, I'll try to scan it for you. Okay. Yeah. All right, Ad Ma'od, go ahead.
Ad Ma'od, very. Why Ad Ma'od?
So let me just again interrupt. Beryl, thank you always for letting me interrupt so much. The Hebrew, in the English, it all gets smoothed out, right? Isaac trembled very violently, right? So if you look at 354, right? That's the way the verse reads, Isaac trembled very violently. But in the Hebrew, what it says is Isaac trembled a trembling that was great to the utmost, right? Ad Ma'od. So Ad Ma'od means to the so much, right? So it's a little more building one on top of another. Charada, simple, trembling. Gedolah, a big trembling, right? So it's not and Ad Ma'od, not just big, but really big, really to the utmost. So why Ad Ma'od?
Why Ad Ma'od? Here is written Ad Ma'od, and there is written, and behold, it was Tov Ma'od, very good, angel of death. So he said, who, a foe, is to be baked.
Okay, the word afo now is being read in a different meaning, right? Afa is to bake. So who's being baked? Who's going to be consumed by this great fire? So let's read the notes here. The notes clarify this is all based on other midrashim. So the first thing is when we say, behold, it was very good. This is back in Genesis at the beginning, and God looks at the 6 days of creation, Vayara Elokim es kol asher asa v'hinei tov ma'od. So until this statement, it keeps on getting tov, tov, tov. Vayara Elokim ki tov. It was good, it was good, it was good. So then the final good on the sixth day after everything is done is tov ma'od, very good. So what does the Midrash say? The Midrash says, tov ze hachayim. Good, that's life. Life is good. Tov ma'od, very good, that's death. So, and the word ma'od is sort of like elided into mot, which means die, right? Mavet. Look at 355, please.
And behold, it was Tov Me'od, very good, angel of death. Rabbi Shemuel, son of Rav Yitzchak, said, behold, it was very good. This is the angel of life. And behold, it was very good. This is the angel of death. According to Rabbi Shemuel, the angel of death is very good because he kills those who fail to accumulate good deeds. According to Zohar, he is very good because the awareness of mortality stimulates a person to return to God.
Okay, so I think there's a typo. I think that it should be Rav Shmuel. Some says, behold, it was good. This is the angel of life. Behold, it was very good. This is the angel of death. You have different explanations here of what this is. Another explanation is that the Reb Shmuel is being ironic, right? Reb Shmuel is accepting the reality of death. Yes, everything that God does is for the best, and therefore even death is very good, right? I can't say that death is bad. If God created it, then it must be good. So this is, and of course, one way is evil as the servant of good by wiping out the bad guys, wiping out the failures of people who are not trying to be good, and the other one is it's a good push, impetus, a good incentive to try to be as good as you can. All right. And then 356.
Who, a foe, is to be baked, playing on the root
Aleph Pei Hey.
Pei, to bake. Rav Natan said in the name of Rav Abba, the walls of the house began to seethe from the fire of hell, as is written, who, a foe, who is destined
Lay afot
to be baked here, or my son Jacob. I or my son Jacob. The Blessed Holy One replied, neither you nor your son, rather he that hunted game, Asa.
Okay, so this is the prior stratum of midrashic teaching that the Zohar is building on here, and saying that this is recognizing that Esav is in league with the angel of death, with hell, and so on. So again, we have a reassertion: he's the bad guy, Jacob is the good guy, right? Now let's read one more sentence.
Where are we?
When Esau heard.
When Asa heard his father's words, the verse continues, he cried out with a very great and bitter cry, and said to his father, bless me too, my father.
Okay, so this is this heartrending cry of anguish by Esav, who says, come on, okay, you blessed him, but can't you bless me? Please bless me. So now Rabbi Chia, we're back into the Zohar, 307, the middle of the page. Rabbi Chia said.
Well, we didn't read the line before.
That was the verse. That's the verse.
Rabbi Chia said, How much harm was inflicted by those tears Esav shed before his father in order to be blessed by him, since he cherished his father's word?
Okay. So, and that you can also read, that's 358.
How much harm was inflicted by those tears Esav shed? The fact that he valued his father's blessings so highly and cried so plaintively moves God to reward him and his descendants with worldly blessing and dominion. Esav symbolizes both the Roman Empire and medieval Christianity.
Okay. So which we've talked about many, many times. The identification is simple, but the point, which comes from Midrash again, and then the Zohar brings it up again over here, is that God is moved by Esav's pain. God is moved by Esav's own crying out. And Esav, as we've talked about many times, Esav comes off as a very devoted son, as in many ways a very sympathetic character within the way the Torah tells the story itself. And here, what the Midrash is saying is that the tears of Esav move heaven and earth. The tears of Esav have to be answered. And of course, how is they answered? They're answered on the backs and through the lives of the Jewish people. So we pay the price for causing that anguish. So here the Zohar has made two kinds of statements about pain and anguish. The pain that Yitzchak suffered causes Jacob to live a life of misery, in mourning for his son Joseph. And the tears, the pain that was created by putting Esav in this despair about not getting his father's blessing, that reverberated through history. We got the blessing. We're paying for it every day. We're paying for it every day. All right. Any comments? Okay.
Haki, did he rightly name Yaakov Jacob? The one who named him. Contemptuously, he spewed a spurtle of spittle. It is not written, wasn't he rightly named, but rather, didn't he rightly name him?
Right. The word in Hebrew is hachi. Hachi. So indeed, is this the way he was named? Indeed, that's exactly how he should be named. His name is Yaakov, and how appropriate that name is. Yaakov, the crooked one. Yaakov, the schemer. Yaakov, the shrewd manipulator. Of course, that's why he should be called that. Look at the way he has stolen from me everything that was mine. This is Esav. And now the Zohar simply is quoting an old midrash. It says, Achi is actually, it's his clearing his throat and spitting. It's not the word Hachi, indeed. Is that really the way it is? That it's not a rhetorical question. It's a spit. The guy is disgusted with the way things have worked out. Right? He spewed a spurtle of spittle. This is Danny Matt trying to, give some English equivalent of the onomatopoeia stuff that the Zohar has. So yeah. But the Zohar comes back and says, no. But guess what? I'm sorry. This is God's decision, right? This is important. So, all right. Here we go. Next page. We're moving right along.
He deceived me. Zeh fa'amayim. This 2 times. Why this 2 times? The verse should read 2 times.
What's the zeh? Why does it say ze pa'amayim? Why does it say this? He deceived me twice. Vayakveni pa'amayim. Why vayakveni ze pa'amayim?
But a single word appears 2 times. Bekorati, my birthright, reappearing once again. Bekorati, my blessing. Zeh, this, happened 2 times.
Okay, so read 364.
But a single word appears 2 times. The phrase this 2 times indicates that the letters of this one word are transposed and reappear. First, he took Bekorati, my birthright, and look, now he's taken Birchati,
right?
Birchati, my blessing.
Right, like we say Birchat Hamazon, right? The blessing of the food, Birchati, the blessing of me. So the Zeh is, he took the Bechorah, and then he took those letters and switched them around, and he took the Bracha, right? First with the mess of pottage, the lentil soup. That's when Esav comes back from hunting and says, I'm famished, I'm gonna die, and give me some of that soup that you're making. And Jacob says, well, what's it to you? How about, what are you gonna give me for it? Sell me your birthright. And he says, are you kidding? Of course I'll sell you my birthright. Why should I, otherwise I'm not gonna be alive anyway. So he sells the birthright for a pot of soup. That's the Bechorah, the birthright, the firstborn status, from the word Bechor, the firstborn. Then now he's also taken through trickery my bracha, my blessing. If you look at 2 weeks ago, Vayishlach, when Jacob does finally, after 20 years or so, meet his brother, so this is Genesis 32, 33, I'm sorry, 33, right? Look at, well, you don't have it, so I'll tell you. So it verses 10 and 11. You got it? Good, thank you.
I'm at 33. Now where do you?
Chapter 33, verse 10.
Verse 10. And Jacob said, nay, I pray thee, if now I have found favor in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For as much as I have seen thy face, as one seeth the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me. Take, I pray thee, my gift that is brought to thee, because thou hast dealt gracious with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it.
Right, so the translation you have is take my gift, yes?
Yes.
Okay, but if you look at the Hebrew, it says, take please my blessing, right?
Take back the blessing.
Right, take it back, I'll give you it back, right? But it's all within that same idea, Bechorah, bracha, gifts, what all of these things. So this is now Esav going, that son of a gun, that son of a gun. The same way that you could take a word and you can twist it and turn it with the letters going this way and going that way. That's what this guy is. He's a twister and a turner. He's a Yaakov. He's crooked to the core, right? And he keeps on doing it. He keeps on doing it. All right.
The Zohar is not being fanciful or even midrashic. It's just it's actually the plain meaning. In other words, there is a pun. The Torah is punning on these two words.
Right. And what they're pushing a little bit more is that Esav is saying it's the same thing again and again. It's Zeh. It's all the same. This is who Yaakov is. You know, it's not he hurt me here and then he also hurt me there. No, he's just the same hurting. It's the same crookedness. It's the same wheeler dealer, right? This is what he can't stand. Similarly,
I have no idea where we are.
now second paragraph on 308.
Oh, I'm on the wrong page altogether. Similarly, Yov.
By now, similarly, by now.
Similarly, by now, Job said, you consider me.
No, the paragraph before.
Oh, similarly, by now, Shavnu, we could have returned Zeh Pa'amayim. This 2 times, a single word, 2 times. First, we could have returned without being ashamed before that man. Shavnu. We could have returned. Bashnu. Boshnu. We are ashamed before him, whereas we could have returned.
Right. So what the Zohar now does is it does the same playing of the letters. And this is actually from this coming Shabbat Torah reading, where Jacob keeps on resisting sending Benjamin down with the brothers to Egypt to get food during the famine, right? And so he delays and delays, and they're starving. So finally, this is 43:10. Finally, Yehuda gets a little annoyed, and says to him, I promise you, I'll watch out for Benjamin, and if not, then I guarantee it. If not, I will have sinned to you all of my days. That's verse 9. So and then he says, Ki lulei hitma'amanu, ki ata shavnu ze pa'amayim. If we hadn't delayed like this, we could have been back and forth twice already. We could have brought more food and come back twice. So what the Zohar says is there's that ze pa'amayim. So ze pa'amayim means take that word shavnu and use it twice. This word shavnu, use it twice. And therefore the first word is shavnu. We could have come back. We could have brought back the stuff. And shavnu is also the same letters as boshnu. Boshnu, we were humiliated. We were ashamed. We were embarrassed. And he says we could have therefore not have had to worry about paying the price with Joseph. They don't know it's Joseph, with this viceroy, by being embarrassed before him with not having our other brother there. So this is the way the Zohar wants to add a little extra sweetness, to use that Chaim Vital mentioning before. They're a little piece. Of course, by that time, Jacob is in distress every minute of his life. And Yehuda, who is going to be the savior, just to give away next week's Torah portion, a little bit loses his patience with Jacob. So there's that same kind of, it's coming back to haunt him. Just as Esav says, Zeh pa'amayim, now Judah says, Zeh pa'amayim. Old man, you're killing us. You're killing us. Let us go down to Egypt already with this guy. We'll take good care of him. Trust us. You don't trust us. And I promise I'll take care of him, and we'll be okay. But no, you're not letting that happen. You're not letting that happen. All right. Here we go. And another one.
Similarly, Eov.
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 That's the Hebrew pronunciation of Job.
Okay. Similarly, Eov Job said, "You consider me your
Oyev,
oyev, oyev,
enemy.
enemy," transposing Eov, Job, into oyev, enemy, as they have established, for it is written, "For he crushes me with a tempest."
Okay, look at 367.
Transposing Eov, Job, into oyev, enemy, Rabbi said, "Job blasphemed with a tempest, as is written. He crushes me with a tempest." He said before him, "Master of the universe, perhaps a tempest wind has passed before you, causing you to confuse Eov, Job, with oyev, enemy."
Okay, so here we have now, instead of just a child being upset with their father, or a son, they're not children by now, a son being upset with their father for acting unfairly or for acting irrationally. This is Eov with the ultimate complaint. Why are you treating me like an enemy? Why don't you recognize who I am? I'm Eov. I'm a nice guy. And there you are, treating me as if I'm your enemy. What are you? You just, confused because a wind came along and scrambled my letters of my name from Eov to Oyev, right? So there's a kind of on the one hand, there's a lot of playfulness here. On the other hand, there's a real bitterness, right? There's an acknowledgement, of the Eov problem. The Eov problem is, of course, the problem that we've been, that we have here, in the chat, and that we've had, again and again and again. So just to say the obvious, the Zohar isn't putting anything here to bed. The Zohar is not smoothing over things and dismissing, problems with, with some wave of the hand, or with some, answer that it's convinced, just makes all the problem disappear. It's hitting it again and again and again, Zeh pa'amayim, again, twice and 3 times and 4 times, acknowledging the anger, that's brought out by what seems to be wrong causing of pain. Yeah. All right. Let's come back now to Esav.
Here he took
Bechorati,
Bekorati, my birthright, and look now, the word transposed, he has taken Birkorati, my
Birchati.
Birchati. Here I have
My blessing, right? First he took my Bechorah, and then he took my blessing. This is just simply concluding what they already said before, putting it out again in terms of the 2 transposed writings of the same letters. One way it means this way, one way it comes out the other way. So this is what he's done. Okay. We got another, actually, let's see how much more, progress we can make. Go ahead.
Here I have made a master over you. For you, Epho, where? There is no one here who can approve blessings for you. What can I do, my son?
This is all Isaac responding to Esav's crying out and saying, give me a blessing. Give me a blessing. And he says to him, I'm going to read it just one explicit reading in the Hebrew. And he says, right? So he says, Vayomer halo atzalto vayan Yitzchak vayomer le'esav hein gvir samtiv lecha ve'et kol achav natati lo la'avadim. I have made him the master over you, and all of his brothers I have given to him to be his servants, and I've also given him all kinds of bounty, right? Ulecha efo ma esebeni. And to you, efo, there's that word efo again. So, and for you then, that's the simple meaning. What should I do for you? I've given him all these blessings. You're going to be his servant. So ulacha efo ma'esalach. So now the Zohar says what Isaac is saying is, I've made him a master. For you, efo, where? Where is there anyone to stand up for you? Where is there a Shechina to say that you deserve a blessing too? There isn't. There's nobody here to stand up for you, right? There's nobody who can approve your blessings, right? So then what can I do? The answer is, so he blessed him. Top of the line on 309.
What can I do, my son? So he blessed him with this world. Contemplating his wrong, he said, you will live by your sword, as befits you, spilling blood and waging war. Therefore he said, what can I do?
Who's I? I is Isaac. And meek, timid, passive Isaac, in the Zohar's schema, Isaac is Gvura. Isaac is might. Isaac is din, judgment, execution. So he says to his son, and remember, this brings us all the way back to the beginning discussion. Why did Isaac love him so much? Right? Because they're the same. There was something so in common that they had. So Isaac says, I can't give you a heavenly blessing because there's no heavenly approval for that. Efo, where? There isn't. But I can give you from me. I can give you from my blessing, from my power, right? And that is going to be violence, bloodshed, but, to accomplish things. You will be successful. You will, in this world, be a mighty force. You will have gvura. You will have gvura that I'm giving you. Now, again, this is the mystery and the dark mystery that Isaac is giving a blessing in this world, but acting as a divine potency, right? So this brings God right back into the responsibility for Esav's success, right? It's Isaac, in a certain sense, divorced from Shechina, which of course we know is a terrible thing to do. But Isaac gives his son Esav a blessing without Shechina's approval. The blessing has to be colored with blood because it can't be sweetened by Shechina. So Mark has a question. What happened to Jacob as the epitome of the reconciliation of the Godhead? Okay, the answer is, it ain't so easy. It ain't so easy. If the reconciliation were a done deal, as you have said you think the Zohar thinks it is, then there would be no further story to tell. Once Jacob comes on the scene, once Jacob gets the blessing, once Jacob effects the grand synthesis, there's no place else to go. But that synthesis ends up actually being tenuous, fragmented, imperfect, and that's why we're here to this very moment. All right, Yeshakot, everybody. One more time, have a wonderful conclusion of Hanukkah. And next week we've agreed we're going to be meeting, right? Bring your stack of cards, so we can play a little, some card games on the Nittelnacht or whatever it is, right? Is it Nittelnacht that night? All right. Sei gesund und stark.
Noah,
Noah.
Hanukkah.